What is up, everybody? My name is Famous and welcome to another episode of Pokemon Go. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Pokemon that are currently in Pokemon Go that are going to get an evolution in Generation 4. So these are the Pokemon that you're going to want to save up the best ones that you possibly can, and also try to save up some candy because they could actually have quite an impact once Generation 4 gets introduced into Pokemon Go. But without further ado, let's get to the list. Number 10. Number 10 is going to be a tie between Leafeon and Glaceon. I know some of you fans are a huge fan of either Leafeon or Glaceon. I know Bennett is a huge fan of Glaceon. Shout out to Bennett if he is in the comment section. So these two Pokemon are going to be somewhere around the likes of maybe Espeon, a little bit short of what Vaporeon is in the meta, but definitely going to be some really cool Pokemon. I think personally Ice-type is a little underwhelming in the current meta, but I guess if enough of them get good enough, then they're going to have to be dealt with. But I think Grass has a really strong hold in the current meta, and I could see Leafeon being a third or fourth or kind of like that fifth option, maybe behind something like a Sceptile, a Venusaur, an Executor. It would just kind of act more of the glass cannon of all of those. So definitely cool to see these Pokemon. Number 9. Yanmega with a max CP of 2,873. Yanmega is a dual-type Pokemon, a bug, and then also flying-type. Yanmega evolves from Yanma, the most annoying Pokemon to catch in the game, but this might give you the reason to actually try to go catch them when you see them. Don't try to pass them up, especially if you do get a high IV one. Having a bug-type Pokemon around that 2,900 range is actually pretty crazy. The only other ones that I can think of that are kind of around that would be like an Heracross. A Scizor isn't even quite at this, so that just kind of gives you the placement and just goes to show that Yanmega could actually be a good option. Number 8. Electivire with a max CP of 2,904. Electivire looks so awesome, is a pure electric type Pokemon, evolves from Electabuzz, so yet another Generation 1 Pokemon that gets its evolution. Electivire is going to definitely be relevant. It's not going to top the charts over Raikou or Zapdos, but I could easily see it fall a little bit short of that, maybe around where Jolteon is. I would say that it's kind of like the filler of the type that you would want to have. You definitely want to have one on your team. If you don't have these more expensive Pokemon, especially being legendary, it's going to kind of be the poor man's Zapdos, the poor man's Raikou, something that everyone's going to be able to have and definitely going to be reliable. Number 7. Magmortar with the max CP of 2,980, so very close to cracking the 3,000 CP. Magmortar is a pure fire-type Pokemon and evolves from Magmar. And just to kind of give you some scale, Magmortar actually has a higher CP than Charizard does in the game. Is it going to be the best of the best? No, I think that it's going to be very similar to the last Pokemon that we just talked about. It's not going to be able to beat Entei, it's not going to be able to beat Moltres, but it does hold a place in the top 5, if not top 10, absolutely for sure, and something that you want to make sure that you hold on to, especially if you are hatching eggs and have a Magby and you end up getting a very high IV one. I would hold on to it because Magmortar is going to be something that you definitely want to hold on to. Number 6. Magnezone with a max CP of 2,996. Once again, getting very close to the 3,000 CP mark. Magnezone is a dual-type Pokemon of Electric and also Steel, and evolves from Magneton. So once again, another Generation 1 family tree getting an extra evolution. Magnezone is going to have a similar fate as Electivire did, where it isn't going to be the best electric type Pokemon, but it is going to be a solid option, especially something kind of fun to play with since it will be new. I could imagine that it would have some really cool animations. No, it isn't going to crack that top 3 spot, but it definitely has a good mid-range value. Number 5. Porygon Z with a max CP of 3072. This is the first Pokemon to crack that 3000 CP mark. Porygon Z evolves from Porygon 2. Basically, it's going to act like the Porygon family does, where it's sort of the Swiss Army knife. It knows a lot of moves. It is going to be just a better version of Porygon 2. I think Porygon 2 isn't quite good enough to actually be useful, but maybe with Porygon Z's stats, it will push it into that useful range, and people will be excited to use it. Number 4. Tangrowth with a max CP of 3110. Tangrowth evolves from Tangela, yet another Generation 1 Pokemon, and is a pure grass type. Tangrowth is going to be a Pokemon that would theoretically be useful. It's going to once again hover from that 3 to maybe 6th place. I don't think it's going to outpace something like an Exeggutor or a Sceptile, but it could theoretically outperform a Venusaur. We're just going to have to see, but I do think it's something that you need to make sure that you're saving candy for. You're not trying to do anything with it, or you're not skipping using or catching Tangelas. You need to hold off enough to evolve it. More than likely, it's probably just going to be 50 candies to be able to do so, but something that you should look forward to in the future. Number 3. Togekiss with a max CP of 3171. This is a Pokemon that you may not have seen coming. Togekiss evolves from Togetic and is a dual-type Pokemon, just like Togetic is, of Fairy and then also Flying type. And it is a lot higher than what I personally would have expected, so that could honestly make it useful. If Togekiss gets a very good Fairy-type moveset, it could basically become the Dragon Slayer of Pokemon Go. But once again, we really need that good Fairy-type combination of moves. We need something with a lot of damage, and then even on the quick moves as well, just so a Fairy type can be competitive in Pokemon Go. Number 2. We have Mamoswine. This is something to be very excited about with a max CP of 3289. Mamoswine is a dual type Pokemon of Ice and then also Ground. So Mamoswine evolves from Pillow-Swine. It's going to act similar as far as the typing goes, but it's just going to be a better version of it. And as you can see, nearing out at 3,300 CP, Mamoswine is going to be an absolute monster. I would imagine it being used highly against some flying type Pokemon, something that could actually have a lot of use in the meta. And now let's go ahead and move on to number 1. This is something that I am personally very excited about because once again, it is going to be very useful in the meta, and that is Rhyperior with a max CP of 3,869. Rhyperior is a dual-type Pokemon of Ground and also Rock. Rhyperior evolves from Rhydon. Rhydon is already a relevant Pokemon in the meta. The only difference is that its attack stat, although it isn't that great, if it got an update in the moveset, we could see a better ground-type attacker. Already, we have a better rock-type attacker than Rhydon with something like Golem, but if we can get some updated ground-type moves, you will totally see Rhyperior owning the scene, immediately taking away from other Pokemon. It isn't going to quite be up there with Groudon, but it's definitely going to hold that number 2 to number 3 spot quite easily. So anyways, I hope you did enjoy this video. I hope that you found it helpful. I'm hoping that I'm inspiring you to go ahead and save up the candies for this, and then when Generation 4 drops, you will be ready to go. But if you did enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.